Hi everyone, and welcome to Garden to Kitchen. Today I'm going to be showing you how to grow tomatoes on strings. And that's kind of an unusual concept. I've got my setup here, and you might say, well, why do we want to grow tomatoes on strings? Well, the whole concept behind that is to grow a vine tomato, indeterminate, that will continue to grow at least 6 feet tall. And of course, as it's growing, we are going to remove all of the suckers and only keep the flowers that are growing on the main stem. So that's the whole concept behind this. So of course, if you do that, the concept is you will grow really big tomatoes. Perhaps not as many as you grow on a big bush, and you know, if you don't cut the suckers off, you're going to end up with great big bushes of tomatoes that are 3 to 4 feet square, and that's okay too, but it's just a different system. Of course, I'm going to be showing you how to plant the tomatoes in a couple weeks, because right now we're in the month of early May and it's not quite warm enough. So we will be doing that later on. In the meantime, this bed, I wanted to show you this bed and how it was put together. Last year I grew beans in this bed. It was on a vertical trellis, and they grew really well. They grew up about 7 feet tall. And I've been doing that for a couple years, and then I decided to convert this bed to tomatoes, and of course growing up a vine. I have 2 boards at each end. They are exactly 6 feet tall, and I've screwed them onto the ends of the growing raised garden and secured it and put a level on it so that they would be nice and straight. Once that was completed, I put another board at the top, and I got up in a ladder and I screwed down the board so it wouldn't move. So it's going to be secured and ready to hold the tomatoes, the 4 tomato plants, which are Better Boy tomato plants. Then I drilled a couple holes, exactly 4 holes across the top, and then I attached the strings that they would be coming down, so they would be roughly 18 inches apart. So the bed is ready. It's ready to go. I've augmented it with a little bit of compost, and then I raked it afterwards so it's nice and smooth. So I'm ready to plant as soon as the weather gets a little warmer. And I will be updating you on this particular project, so don't forget to check back in. Good morning everyone, and welcome to Garden to Kitchen. We're at the tomato bed, and that is tomatoes on strings, and it's time to plant the tomatoes. And I thought I'd show you how I plant one, so it give you an idea when you plant your tomatoes. So the bed here has been augmented with compost, my compost from my bin, and I've added a little bit of peat moss because I found the pH level was just a bit high, about 6.9. So I added a bit of peat moss, and it's ready to go. And I'm going to share with you what I'm going to be putting in the hole. I have the tomato plant here. It's a Better Boy, really in good condition, ready to go. And you can see here, hopefully you can see that, beautiful root system on this particular plant. So I'm going to put this down right over here, and I'm going to be digging the hole here, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to be putting it in and how I plant this. So I've got this marked off so it may be nice and easy, so it's accurate. And yes, I'm going to dig this with my hands. As you can see, the soil is so soft that I can dig it with my hands. So here we go. Just imagine that, eh? Beautiful soil, and I'm quite deep enough now. So what I'm going to do is put in, first of all, a bit of bone meal. I have some granulated bone meal. It's nitrogen 4, phosphorus 10, and potassium 0, and it promotes root growth. And I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons. So I'm going to sprinkle that in. 2 tablespoons of that. And over here, you probably recognize this. This is my eggshells and banana peels that I've been grinding up all winter. And as you can see, it's pretty well full. And of course, from eggshells you get calcium, and from the bananas you get phosphorus. So it's a good combination for your plants, and tomatoes really like them. So I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of that mixture. And finally, I have something here that you probably have at home already. It's called Epsom salts, E-P-S-O-M. And of course, this is something that you use to take a bath. It softens the water, but it contains a lot of magnesium sulfate. And what does this do? This allows the plant to pick up more calcium through the root system, making your tomatoes sweeter and more susceptible, or less susceptible, I should say, less susceptible to blossom end rot. And nobody likes that on your tomatoes. So this is really good stuff. I get the non-scented version, and I'm going to be putting in 2 tablespoons of that as well. So I have my mixture. That's what I'm going to be doing for each plant. What I like to do too is I like to water in the hole before I plant. So there we go. I'm going to water in the hole. That should be enough. And the water will go down. I'm going to bury this a bit. Just mix this up so I can see the fertilizer mixing up with the soil. That looks terrific. And I'm going to add a bit more, and here's my tomato plant. Now what I like to do with the tomato plant is cut off the lower branches. You can use a pair of scissors or snips like I'm using. And what you want to do, there's nothing going to be growing on those particular branches. And what we want to do is bury this as deeply as possible. So here we go. I'm going to line that up. That's where I want it. It's about the center. This is the first better boy. There. I'm going to push that down a bit. And that looks good. Now these tomato plants, they're better boy. They're an indeterminate variety, also known as a vine. So that's why they'll be able to climb up. You can't do this with a determinate. It has to be an indeterminate vine variety. And this is a better boy. They'll produce tomatoes that are roughly a little under a pound, and they're big and juicy. I've grown them before. Now we're going to do another one. This is our third plant going in. And I said, whoa, come on back here. It's a lively tomato plant. Anyway, I've got a nice deep hole here. You can see the soil is so soft, really soft. I'm going to put in my usual 2 tablespoons of bone meal, 2 tablespoons of eggshells and banana peels, and the final one is the Epsom salts. It's really not a salt, it is a mined mineral, and it's used for taking a bath, but it's also used in gardening in order to reduce the burr, as we call it, the blossom end rot. And it makes your tomatoes sweeter as well. So I like to mix it up so it doesn't burn the plant. And that's looking pretty good. I'm going to add a bit of water to the hole. Get that going along. And then I have a plant over here. Just look at the root system on this. Beautiful root system. I'm going to trim away some of the lower branches because this is not going to, they're not going to grow tomatoes from those branches, that's for sure. So I'm going to be very delicate with this plant. It has a beautiful root system that I'm just going to lay down, and that's where it goes. So Just push that down just a little bit, just snug it in to remove any of the air gaps that might be in that particular soil area. So it looks good. I've got one more to do and we'll be all finished. Now I've got the final one in here. Looks pretty good. I just sort of level everything off. It's really looking good. These plants should be growing shortly. I think they grow about 6 inches a day once they start. And once we come back and look at them later on, you'll be so surprised. Or maybe you won't be surprised. Maybe you've done something like this before. So anyway, we're waiting. Come on, grow. And we want those tomatoes. Thanks for watching.